Hi,
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, thank you for taking a few minutes to speak with me. I think the
Absolutely.
concept for this show is awesome. So,
Thank you.
I think, Guts and Glory really blends. It's like the worlds of horror and competition reality, which are two genres that you don't often see
Yeah.
paired together. So, what first inspired you to kind of bring this concept to life?
Well, look, I'm a big Halloween fan, of course. And ever since I was a kid, going to Halloween haunts and going through haunted houses and how immersive they were. And I always loved that. And then, of course, in the last, God, I don't even know how many years, 25 years, all the Halloween Horror Nights stuff
Yeah.
where it's like, you have a set and you go through and it's thrilling and sometimes you scream and sometimes you laugh. I never laugh. I mean, I never scream because I don't
Look,
get
I
scared.
just did it last
But
week. I just got back.
it's so much
Yeah.
fun. So I kind of thought I'd love to come up with a way to do something that was immersive like that.
Right.
A sort of a hybrid of a horror movie and a competition show. I didn't want to do a prank show, and I didn't want to do
Yeah.
something where it's like, oh, you just have to eat bugs or something.
Yeah.
I wanted I wanted to capture that those like 8 to 10 seconds of when you see something that your brain tells you can't be real, but your eyes are saying it's real, like a corpse or a creature or a demon or something levitating or something like that. So I
Right,
wanted to do
right.
that. I really wanted that experience.
Absolutely. I mean, personally, you've spent decades, really shaping a ton of iconic horror visuals, with everything from Walking Dead to Creepshow and so much more. So,
Yeah.
how did your background in the special effects and the storytelling, what kind of influence on the design and tone of this series did that play in?
Well, I had to do something that is completely contrary to everything on a movie or a TV set, which is it has to play in one take and it has to
Uh-huh.
play live in front of people. Because when you're working on a TV show or a movie, you get the cameras there and the lighting and the special effects guys and you're pumping the blood and then once you have the pieces, then you go into post and you put the pieces together and you can add sound effects and
Right.
music and you can do all this stuff to craft the scare. But in something like this, it was like directing a concert or a football game. So we had to shoot it live.
Yeah.
It had to be done live, and had to get it in one take, and that was it. You didn't have a take two. 90
Right.
to 95% of the show really happened live, and I directed the camera team. Make sure you shoot the reactions
Yeah.
because it's that reaction that I really want. If I have to later turn around, excuse me, and shoot a pickup of the monster, I
Yeah.
can shoot that without the contestants there
Right.
because I wanted the contestants to really believe that at some point this was all really happening,
Absolutely. I thought it
even
was
though their
cool.
brain tells them.
It
Thank
was
you.
cool to
Thank
see
you.
them have
It
their
was hard.
own handheld cams too, like to get that footage
Yeah.
too was pretty neat.
Well, that was my Blair Witch homage.
Right.
And what we did was we sent them those cameras a couple days before we started shooting. So they
Okay.
filmed themselves like going to the airport and saying goodbye to their loved ones and getting. I liked the idea because, theoretically, the movie kind of turns into a found footage horror movie about halfway through.
Right.
You know, so it was really challenging. So I basically just went into it. I hired the majority of the crew had worked on The Walking Dead, the AD staff and the camera crew and costumes and effects and stunts and everything. And none of us had done non-scripted before. So we were like, I don't know how this works, but
It's
we're
like a
just
new
going to do what
experience.
we think.
Yeah.
So we hired a challenge producer and we hired two story producers and they were like, we don't know how the horror movie element works. We know how the competition thing works. I'm like, well, that's
Right.
good because I know how the horror movie thing works. So we just somehow have to sort of like mash it all together. Um, so I think the show works out of sheer force of will of just me wanting to do something unique and original. And we hired this casting company called the Casting Duo, and we auditioned about 60 people.
Okay.
And I think the hardest thing for me was narrowing it down to 10.
Yeah.
And once we did, the interesting thing was I knew everything about them. I knew what they did for a living. I knew if they were married. I knew if they had kids. I knew what their fears were. I knew what their occupation was. So on day one, when they all get out of the bus in the woods, I'm like, oh my God, there they are. Like I knew them. I was fans of them already before
Yeah.
I had even met them in person. So that was wild. And the saddest thing was like having to tell them that they were done.
Oh
That was
gosh.
really hard.
Yeah.
When we would tally up the times of the competition and we would determine who the winner was and who the loser was. And look, all those competitions, they were all really competing. Like there was no sort of fudging results or anything. It was really important that they were all genuinely competing because we had a cash prize at the end that
Yeah.
we really wanted to keep authentic. So I remember calling Jeffrey Dean Morgan after watching his Destination X show.
Yeah.
And I said, first of all, I wish I would have seen your show before I was the host of my show because I would have been much more charismatic, like Jeffrey is. But I asked him, I said, how did it feel like when you had to tell people that they were eliminated? Because that
Ugh.
was really hard for me.
Oh, I couldn't
So, and he
imagine.
was like, oh, it's fine. He's like, ah, it's fine.
He's like, don't worry about it.
He's like, don't worry about it. You'll get over it.
So I feel like, Shudder has become such a home for innovative horror programming. And, horror itself has, always evolved with the times. And, what does a competition show like this say about where the genre is headed now? Do you feel like it is going to be like, I mean, we're never going to lose our favorite slasher movies and stuff, but it's cool to see it
No.
move into the reality realm as well.
Well, I think it's just another way to celebrate the genre that we love because we do love it. And look, with the ever growing popularity of these Halloween Horror Nights style haunts,
Hmm.
I think more and more people want to find ways to experience the scary stuff that they love. So what better way to experience it than to be put into it in a competition show? And the funny thing was none of these people knew that that's what they signed up for.
You could
They didn't know
tell.
it was a horror show. They had no idea that it was a horror show. And the thing with me is I was most worried that they were going to be like, as soon as they realized what it was, they're going to be like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
But not only did they not do that, but they all doubled down. Then it was like, who's going to go next? How do they pick who dies and who lives? Do they give you a note? Do they tap you on the shoulder in the morning and say, you're going to die today? Like, how does it work?
Right.
And then they were always like, that person's got to be in on it. This person. So it became much more of a conspiracy theory sort of show, like Traitors. And I love
Yeah.
that. I was like, it evolved into something that I hadn't thought about. um, you know, at the Airbnb where they were staying at night, they had this big whiteboard, and
Hmm.
they would go home at night and write out all their theories. And I didn't think at the time the show was really intended to cover the competitions themselves. But like if we do another season, I would definitely have a separate crew go with them at night
Oh yeah.
back to the house and see how they process who got eliminated, who got killed, and who's next, and how they're going to do it. Because the fact that they were also committed to determining how it all worked, and they'll never know how it worked because it changed every competition.
Right, that's the beauty of it. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes to speak with me today. Hopefully, I think fans are really, really going to enjoy this. Like it was great. It was definitely
Thank
a
you.
fun watch. Thank you.
I hope so too. Look, I mean, this is the first time I'm talking to the show about people that didn't work on it, that have seen it.
Yeah,
And I've been waiting for this since January to hear because I'm really proud of it. It's super entertaining, it's fun. I love the contestants. I love the scares and the horror aspect of it. So, I'm just hopeful that people dig it because it's fun.
absolutely. Fantastic job. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank you. Thank
afternoon.
you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Kristen.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.